Hi, welcome to class. We're the only two right now, but the other ones will show up eventually, right? I hate my life. I hate my life.
A Professor Sunreis Productions!
Hello class, Professor Sunreis here. In today's class we are taking a look at my updated deck profile of Bystial Dragon Control, I would call it. I went on a regional with it, got 4th place out of 102 people. Pretty good result. The deck has been overperforming the whole time I was testing it. I sadly didn't get to test as much as I'd like to, but the deck still went great. I did a few misplays here and there, but that's just what happened. So stay tuned. Without further ado, don't forget to like and subscribe, leave some feedback down below in the comment sections, and let's get right into that profile. So here we are in the profile. First of all, I want to quickly go over my matchups. It was 7 rounds. I played against 4 Tier elements, 1 hero, and 2 sprite. No, 3 Tier elements. 1 hero, 2 sprite, and 1 runic Ishizu Naturia. And I only lost against 1 sprite player because I was playing too passive, and I thought I had the luxury of playing around talents, but in hindsight I didn't have that. And I went into a draw once because of a misplay in time, where I forgot to use my regained effect once because I was trying to hurry up my opponent, of course. It is what it is. I haven't played this deck a lot, where I would normally feel very confident with the deck for a tournament like this. But overall, the tournament experience was great, and the deck was still definitely overperforming because I was actually playing quite poor, to be honest, because I had like a very busy weekend on that particular weekend. But anyways, let's get into the card by card. We, of course, are on 40 cards clean. We have 3 Lebellion for the Bystials, 3 Magnamut, 3 Drewsworm, and 3 Sironia. For the monsters, of course, these are all hand traps going second. This is the starter going first. This is the starter and going second, of course, as well. Really strong. I would not change a thing. You really want to maximize them out because you want to counter tier elements, of course. And then 2 regained. Definitely will still play these at 2. This is so broken to establish, but it is so hard to do so because of all the Ishizu shufflers in the meta. But once you have this card set and it survives 1 turn, you basically have won. The amount of pressure and advantage this one generates is insane. And then the 1 branded beast would not change anything about this ratio. The 2-1 ratio really helps, especially with the desires I'm still playing. So for the starters of the Dragon Engine, 3 Chaos Base, 3 Seyfert, 2 Black Metal. In theory, I would want to play 3 of this, but in practice, I keep bricking on normal summons, and it seems weird. I only play 5, but I so many times have 2 of them in the hand, making me not want to play 3-3. And Seyfert is still better, even though the Red Ice Darkness Metal Dragon is so broken once you have everything established. So I'm playing 2 of these is so totally fine, so you have the luxury if everything goes according to plan. In turn 2, you search with Magnamut, you search this, and then you just completely dunk on your opponent with the Red Ice Darkness Metal. So I would still play these. And Chaos Base is Chaos Base, of course. It is so broken. Getting the draw off, it's just an insane card. And then for the last of the dragons, of course, the baby Chaos Dragons, really strong, especially with the regained. You can keep recycling them, really strong. And then the 1 Red Ice Darkness Metal Dragon, this card keeps overperforming. It being the biggest dragon helps, it reviving a Bystial. Then you can use your Lebellion to get rid of this. You can keep recycling this with regained and keep triggering Red Ice Darkness Metal Dragons, which is pretty bonkers. This card is insanely strong. And for desires, of course, I still play this. I thought about playing the Levy art and stuff like that, or just the 1 Levy actually. But the problem I think I have with it is that it just does seem like a win more thing. It is an additional brick, and if I have the luxury of searching this, it means I already have all of my Bystial set up and a way to play. And in my opinion, I already win if I am at this point, so I don't really need the Levy. You could argue that you want the Levy so you can kill faster, so you don't go into time. That's probably the strongest argument for Levy, in my opinion. But maybe I'm also just missing the lines. I saw the guy on the Dueling Book on DB Grinder's channel, the Forgotten guy playing Bystial Dragon. He does play the Levy, but I just really like the desires, and they help you with consistency and with power, of course. So I really like that card as well. And then for hand traps to help me, especially against Flunder, which I have not played against at all, which is really cool. I'm still on the same package. Ghostwheel was as always really pushing it through. It stopping tier elements, it's stopping the runic field spell plenty of times, it's stopping shufflers, Bystials. This card is so strong. Vader is good because it's a light. Ash is super super generic, and Imperm is just in a vacuum the biggest, the strongest one of that. Though I do side out these a lot, just because this is a light, so it does have better synergy. It can also be drawn into with a regained or something like that. Basically just regained, where it matters that this is a monster hand trip I can throw out of my hand. So that's it for the main deck, 40 cards. I don't think I would change anything. Yeah, the main deck was insane. I cannot complain about that at all. The extra deck is where it's lacking today. It's actually not the side deck, but it's the extra deck. Really like the Pisty. Something which I didn't notice, but is really important, is going first. You can use this over the Striker Dragon. So you can play around an opponent's dark, because with Regained and Bystials, you can heavily influence your graveyard, especially with the dark types, for the opponent's dark against tier elements. That way they cannot go into the sprint route over the dark, which is really helpful. So if you can use this, you have this in your graveyard just for free, and you can just keep it in there, so you have one less dark to worry about playing around the dark. This is definitely something which comes up. If you want to play this deck perfectly, you probably just always want to go for this one in the first turn. And the one Striker Dragon, of course, you just need ways to link off your Red Eyes Darkness Metal and your Safeguard. Definitely put high value on these when recycling, because they are very important for your game plan. 2 Seal came up multiple times that I wanted 2 seals, just because Regained is kind of hard to establish. What did not came up was the Masquerena. I'm thinking about cutting this one. I have one very spicy Xyz as an object of interest, because outing Empen is really hard, and I found one which could be pretty nuts in this deck. Just have to do some testing and actually get the card. But yeah, Masquerena did not come up. Dark came up a few times to just help Link climb a little bit. Would definitely still play this. Summoning opponents' Magnums is insane. The Nightmares. You could also play the Cerberus, but I did not really struggle with monsters that hard where I wanted it. And then Axis and Appaloosa. Pretty standard Link package. These are probably the best links in the game at the moment. Back that up with the Dragon links you need to play the Dragon engine, and you have a pretty solid toolbox at your for your game plan. Now for the Xyz, this is a little lackluster. You rarely go into them. The M7 I don't think ever came up, but in theory you can add back lots of different stuff. You can add back Ashes against Despia. You can add any Bystial to just have an additional hand trap in the grind games. This in theory does come up, but at the point where you have 2 level 6s on the board and you play Disruption free, you basically already win. So I guess you still have to play it because you want to be able to win at that point, and not just hope your opponent just scoops before you do anything meaningful. But yeah, it is an okay card. And this was also my Empen out, because I did not take a look at the rank 6 pool and see if there's anything better than this. Surprise, surprise, there are better cards than a Bounce in a rank 6 pool against Empen. 1 Wallow. Pretty broken card. Same as this. If you can make this, you probably already have one. So that's that, but it is an insane card, and especially if there's a talent in the opponent's graveyard, this can come in clutch and also helps your OTK because of the attack boost it gives. 1 Tomb. This is when you have 2 level 6s, being the Saronia and the Dru's Worm, and you want to get into Magnemite. You go into this, summon Magnemite, pitch the Saronia, Saronia sends Lubelia, and then you have basically full Bystial package going. And then the Zeus package. I don't think I made a single Zeus. I also only think I made 2 XZ summons the whole tournament. So yeah, that's it for the extra deck. Like I said, it was a little lackluster. Maybe some of the XZs should have been swapped out. I don't think I missed any Link. Cerberus wouldn't have come up. The one thing you could play was maybe a Selene, because you play the Vader. You could go with Dark into Selene and then revive the Vader to make some more easy Link climbs. While this also doesn't come up a lot, times it does come up. Making 2 bodies into an access code is definitely very helpful to OTK or just to clear board. So that's something I'm thinking about adding. Now for the side deck, this was insane. I cannot complain. Gamma was completely nuts. Cannot complain about that. Nibiru was a little lackluster. I only saw it when I was hard-breaking against the T-Elements play. It was also hard-breaking. I also saw this against Heroes, where it's of course insane. So yeah, I would still play Nibiru, and testing this was insane. In the tournament, I just had different hand traps to stop my opponent. I just didn't draw it enough, and the times I drew it, I was in a very weird scenario where nib is always bad. These things just happened. 3 talents, really good card. Like to side this in going first and going second. This feels so safe to side in against Sprite. I fully committed to letting Sprite players go first now post-sign, just because I want to have a clean out to Shifter in the Gamma, and then Talents is also good going second on going first against them. And then for my Flunder Hate, together with the Gamma, I have the 3 Twin Twister, which I don't think I ever sided in, same as the Lightning Storms, but I just didn't play against that deck. These just help you get into the Flunder matchup. You have 1 hand trap in any of these, you can just out the Empen, out the statue with an Imperm, or hit the Rowena summon effect with a Veiler or an Ash, and then you just in Stamper phase use Twin Twister against the back row and the field spell, and you basically have free reign over them, and then you can get into the game. Yeah, I really like the Bystial package. Everything apart from the extra deck was very good. So my theory with the deck came up. I did not need the extra seeding with weird stuff. There were rarely times I got OTK'd a few times going first, but I also had like really lackluster hands then, with like lots of multiples, like 2 Serenia, 2 Chaos Space, stuff like that. So where you have very little cards, and you cannot really get into that scene because you want to have, of course, have all of these cards alive, especially because you're playing so many hand traps. Lots of the disruption will just come from them. But yeah, that was insane. The grind game was clean. Playing around Bystials is kind of okay with this one, so I didn't get stopped by the opponent's Bystials nearly as often as I've had been, just because I got more comfortable with the deck and I played around stuff more accordingly. So I can only highly recommend it to you guys. This deck feels super cool to play in the current meta. You have very interactive games with TA Shizu without having all of that hustle with the mirror. And against everything else, which is not Flunder, you are also like in a very beneficial position. Against Sprite, I cleanly clapped my Sprite opponents once, and the second one I only lost because I was playing against the Talents, against the person who eventually won the tournament. So, hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile of my updated Bystial Sprite, not Sprite, my Bystial Dragon Control list. Honestly, I'm in love with this deck. Probably the most fun I have had with the deck since Virtual World, I would say. So yeah, I can just highly recommend you guys this deck. Class is dismissed. You guys are free to leave. Professor Sunreis out. Boop, 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 peace.